What's going on, everyone? It's Ben from YGO from Zero, back with another Yugi-Kaiba Format video. And this video is going to be a bit different from my usual videos. Instead of showing off a duel, instead I'm going to be showing off a use of the card Ultimate Offering that is not very intuitive and can be a bit confusing. Now, as you may have seen in some of my other videos, you can use Ultimate Offering in a way to dodge around one of the most powerful trap cards in Yugi-Kaiba format, Trap Hole. And the way it does this is kind of unintuitive, so I've had some comments asking me to explain it in more detail, explain why it works the way it does. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. I hope that if you didn't know about this use of Ultimate Offering, this will be helpful for you in games in the format. If you did know about this use of Ultimate Offering, but you didn't exactly know why you were able to use it this way, hopefully this video is also helpful to you. And if you do already know that Ultimate Offering works this way, and you know why it works this way, then I'd appreciate if you watch the video just in case I get anything wrong here. It is a bit of a confusing way to use the card, and I'm pretty sure I know how it works, but just in case, if someone knows a lot more about the ruling of the format than I do, then please feel free to chime in the comments and let me know where I might make a mistake. But without further ado, let's get into how you can use Ultimate Offering to dodge around your opponent's trap holes. Before we dive into Ultimate Offering itself, I think it'll be helpful to quickly go over what a chain is in Yu-Gi-Oh! And how exactly it works, because that is integral to how exactly Ultimate Offering works in this case. So a chain in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is started whenever you activate like a spell card or a trap card or any effect, basically. So let's say we're activating Pot of Greed here. It activates and it's at chain link 1. That's just the base chain link for any activated effect. And if no card gets chained to it, it doesn't really matter that it's chain link 1, but it's good to know. So when we activate this card, then priority to activate more effects to chain to this pass to our opponent. So our opponent's able to potentially respond to this activation with a card of their own. Our opponent here has a Trap Hole set and a Wuboku set. They can't activate Trap Hole right now because its activation condition isn't met, but they can activate a Wuboku in response if they choose to. So let's just say that they activate Wuboku at chain link 2 here. So they've activated Wuboku in response. So it goes on the chain, and before this chain resolves, priority passes back to us in case we want to respond to their Wuboku activation. Let's say that we don't. We're fine with that Wuboku activation. We're going to say, no, that's okay, the chain can resolve. So the first thing that happens is the highest chain linked card in the chain resolve first. So in that case, since this chain only has 2 links, chain link 2 will resolve first, so Wuboku will resolve its effect. So now our opponent will be unable to take any battle damage or for the rest of the turn. And if they had any monsters, their monsters would not be able to be destroyed by battle this turn. So that resolves. And as a note, we can't then activate another card after this happens. So let's say that they resolve their Wuboku and we're like, oh wait, maybe actually we do want to activate an effect now. We want to activate our own Wuboku because we want to make our own monsters immune to destruction by battle and protect our own life points. But we can't actually activate this in response to this effect resolving because the chain is not yet over. We could have activated this in response to when their Wuboku was activated as chain link 2. We could have made this Wuboku chain link 3. But since it's in the middle of a chain resolving, we can't actually activate any other effects in response. So we won't be able to do that, and instead, chain link 1 will now resolve since chain link 2 is finished, and we will draw 2 cards off of the Pot of Greed. And then the cards involved with the chain link, if they're not continuous, they'll go to the graveyard. So that's how a chain works, and the key bit of this is that you can't activate effects in the middle of the chain while it's resolving. So that's one key piece of information that we need to know for understanding why Ultimate Offering can dodge around Trap Hole. The other key piece of information is that Trap Hole can only be activated when your opponent normal or flip summons a monster with 1,000 or more attack. You can't activate Trap Hole if that is not the last thing that has happened. So for instance, we couldn't have activated Trap Hole at the end of this chain here because the last thing that happened was Pot of Greed resolving to draw us 2 cards. So now that we know those 2 key pieces of information, let's get into how you can actually dodge Trap Hole with Ultimate Offering. So let's say we have Ultimate Offering face up on the field already, and we have 2 monsters in hand that we can summon out off of it. So there are a couple different scenarios that we can do to protect our monsters from Trap Hole. The first is if we activate another effect, let's say Wuboku as Chain Link 1, and then we chain the effect of Ultimate Offering to the Wuboku. And you can do this because the effect of Ultimate Offering can be activated at the speed of a trap card, right? So you can activate the effect of Ultimate Offering when you could normally just activate a Wuboku. So we can actually chain the effect of Ultimate Offering to the Wuboku here. And so this chain will resolve in the order of Ultimate Offering as Chain Link 2 resolves first, and then as Chain Link 1, the Wuboku will resolve, and then the chain will end. So the last thing that has happened in this chain is that Wuboku is resolving and preventing us from taking battle damage or having our monsters be destroyed this turn. Which means that our opponent can't actually activate a Trap Hole here, even though a Neo's been summoned. Because they wouldn't be activating the Trap Hole in response to the summon of Neo, they'd be activating it to the resolution of Wuboku. So it's a bit confusing, but the only time they would have been able to activate the Trap Hole was in the middle of the chain. And because other effects can't be activated while a chain is resolving, they actually had no opportunity to activate this Trap Hole. So that's the simplest way to actually dodge around a Trap Hole, is if you activate an effect like either like a Wuboku, or let's say you activate like a Fisher, or you activate, a Man-Eater Bug effect, you can chain Ultimate Offering to that effect to bring out another monster, and your opponent will not be able to activate Trap Hole in response to that summon, because that summon isn't the last thing that happened. You can also use Ultimate Offering to dodge around the Trap Hole in other ways. Let's say you don't have an effect to activate at the moment, but you still want to protect this Neo from the Trap Hole. Well, in that case, you can actually chain Ultimate Offering to itself. Because Ultimate Offering doesn't say that it can only activate its effect once per turn or once per chain. There's no restrictions on this, so you could technically just keep activating it here if you wanted to. But we're only going to activate it twice because all we care about is protecting the Neo. So we are going to have Ultimate Offering at Chain Link 1 and Chain Link 2. So it will resolve in backwards order. So at Chain Link 2, we can summon out the Neo. And then at Chain Link 1, we can summon out the Wall of Illusion. And here, note that our opponent can activate a Trap Hole if they want. But since the last thing that happened was the summon of Wall of Illusion, they'll only be able to hit the Wall of Illusion. They won't actually be able to hit the Neo here. So that's another way that you can use Ultimate Offering to dodge around Trap Hole. And note that, if we had summoned out like a Man-Eater Bug instead of the Wall, or if we had set the Wall, then our opponent would have no opportunity to activate the Trap Hole, because the last thing that happened wasn't the summon of a monster with 1,000 or more attack. But using Ultimate Offering in that way still loses you a monster, so there are actually other ways to dodge around Trap Hole as well. Let's say you only have one monster in hand, like this hand, right? We've only got a Neo in hand as our monster. We can still actually activate Ultimate Offering twice in the same chain, even if we don't have 2 different monsters to summon out, because what will happen is for Chain Link 2, it'll check if we have a monster in hand, see that we do, and we'll be able to summon that out. So we can summon the Neo like that. And then at Chain Link 1, it will check if we have a monster in hand, it will see that we don't, and then it will basically resolve without effect. You might wonder at this point if we have to show our hand to our opponent to prove that we have no other monsters in hand to bring out off of Ultimate Offering. And at this point in time in the history of the game, you don't actually have to do that for effects like this. That's what the community consensus has been on this ruling. So you don't actually need to confirm to your opponent that you don't have other monsters in hand. Bringing out Neo in this way makes it so that the last thing that happens in the chain is Ultimate Offering resolving without effect. And as such, our opponent won't be able to activate Trap Hole because the last thing to happen is not actually a monster being summoned. There is actually one more pretty relevant way to use Ultimate Offering to dodge a Trap Hole, so let's cover that now. So let's say that we have a Neo and a tribute monster like Summoned Skull in hand. If we bring out the Neo like this, let's say that our opponent activates Trap Hole in response as Chain Link 1. We can actually chain Ultimate Offering to that Trap Hole, tributing out the Summoned Skull using the Neo, and since the monster that Trap Hole originally was responding to is now gone, the Trap Hole will actually resolve without effect. And so we did lose our Neo, but we were still able to tribute it off for the Summoned Skull before Trap Hole could actually destroy it. And that is another very important application of Ultimate Offering in dodging around the effect of Trap Hole. A bit of a word of warning when you're using this application, though, is that if you're doing it, the way that the rules of the game work at this time is you actually have to already have Ultimate Offering face up on the field. If you don't, then we can summon Neo, they'll activate Trap Hole, we can flip up Ultimate Offering to chain to the Trap Hole, but we can't actually use this effect here of Ultimate Offering right away. At this point in the game's history, when activating a continuous trap that had another effect that you could activate on top of it, when you first flip up that trap, you can't actually activate the effect of it in the same chain. And that seems very confusing, and it is confusing. And it's something that doesn't actually change for a very long time, but it's just how the game works at this point. So we can chain Ultimate Offering in response to the Trap Hole, but we won't actually be able to use its effect. We're just activating the card. So unfortunately, in this case, we won't be able to bring out another monster with it. We'll just have to let the Neo die, and we'll have a face-up Ultimate Offering. So, I hope that was a helpful primer on how to use Ultimate Offering in a way that can dodge your opponent's Trap Hole. I hope that I both explained why this works and also a couple different ways that you can actually use it. I hope that I both adequately explained why this works and also, the myriad different ways that you can use this effect to your benefit in duels. If you have any more questions about how to use Ultimate Offering in this way, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to answer all the questions as best I can. And also, if I got anything in this video wrong, then please also let me know in the comments down below. I think I got everything here right, but I'm not like an official judge, so I could have easily gotten some of this wrong because it is rather confusing. If you liked this video, please consider giving it a like, and if you like Yugi-Kaiba content, or just content for these very old formats of the game in general, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I generally post duel replays in these old formats, and there have been some pretty great ones, so be sure to check those out if you're interested. But until next time, I've been Ben from YGO from Zero, and I'm signing off.